All right. Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Ber-Henda Williams, and I'm a visionary empath coach. And welcome to Visionary Empaths Live. So, Visionary Empaths Unite is a series that we have every Tuesday evening where we introduce to you a different empath, a different perspective, and a different way of being. Yet, the unifier is this beautiful gift that we have to deeply feel what it means to be human. And tonight, our very special guest is Rabbi Tamara Kolton, who has an amazing new book that is getting ready to birth itself into the world, Oranges for Eve. So, Rabbi, welcome.
Thank you. I feel like you are this soul sister, and your postings where you posted this enormous cushion that you can buy.
Yeah.
And you wrote something about please God. What did you say?
What did I say? Yes, God, please.
Yeah, I've priced those out. Those cushions. And I'm like, oh yeah, we understand need for comfort.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
wonderful to be here. So wonderful.
Yeah. I know that this topic is so very, very important to not just myself, but other empathic women who are discovering and awakening. And I think awakening is the right word. So if you could lead us back, let's go back to 2012, because I was reading your book and I know that seems like a very an epiphany-like year for you. And I would say for myself as well, 2012, and I think that's because of the feminine numbers, the 2 is feminine. So there was, So coming into the 2000s, there was a shift out of like the masculine paradigm into this feminine paradigm. And so I feel like on the planet,
it chills all over me.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, that women have been waking up, and there's this reclaiming. There's this reconciliation of the feminine. I mean, we've seen just landmark cases of sexual abuse, but finally like a sense of justice and the feminine voice rising up. So if you can take us back to 2012.
You know, no one has framed, you said to me before this, if you need to cry, let yourself. No one has framed this journey that I've been on like you framed it. I have not put the language together of a visionary empath. And it is so honoring because I felt, and a part of me still feels 7 years later that I made this problem up, that I got into fights with people because there's something wrong with me. And that I'm just like, if I could just learn not to do drama. And the whole thing with Eve and my work as a rabbi in this big showdown board meeting that happened, it was all through feeling. And she is a feeling, and I felt it in me, and it was so overwhelming, and I couldn't explain it to people.
And sometimes that's where we go wrong, is that we try to explain.
Right.
And I think I shared with you this beautiful song by Nina Simone called Let Me Not Be Misunderstood. And it was all about, the more I explain, it just seems like it's the worse it gets, because I'm trying to explain what cannot be explained. It can only be felt. And
no one should have to explain their reason for being.
That's right.
Once I feel like I have to start explaining, I'm already hurting inside, kind of desperate. So the emotion precedes the word. So maybe that's why this interview is starting with emotion.
It's my favorite place to start.
Oh my God.
It's such an amazing place to start.
Emotion precedes the language. And I think that as women, wow, I did not expect this. Wave. We have been trained that language has to precede emotion. And we can't, some of us can't adapt.
Mm-mm.
So for me, there's this image of Eve. I'm gonna share it with you.
Yeah, please.
Which changed my life. It was, oh, I haven't cried like this in a long time.
Do you know how many women don't cry like this?
Wow.
We do not get the permission to cry like this.
You have allowed something in me that I haven't allowed for a long time.
Thank you, God. Thank you, God.
This image was painted by a woman painter in 1885. Her name is Anna Lee Merritt. It's called Remorse. And I have lived with this since I first saw it 7 years ago.
Yeah.
It's one of the few paintings by a woman.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
It's how it has felt it so many times in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
And so it's how this painting is the emotion, start the journey.
Mm-hmm.
Like all I did was take a bite of an apple. What did I do wrong?
That's
What's
right.
wrong with me?
That's right. That's
and
right.
She's so ashamed. She can't show her face.
Yeah.
But she's still connected to the divine. You see her body, her way. She's not completely earthly yet. As if she's just fallen.
Yeah. That's so powerful.
So this image started this journey of how to reclaim Eve as God in the feminine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And not a sinner, but our mother of spiritual bravery.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all women that are rising and speaking, and men too, as that feminine divine flows through them. All these survivors out from the Catholic Church.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
They're our brothers.
They are. Yeah.
So
yeah.
Get back to the full.
You're hitting on so many touchstones of the divine feminine and bringing in the masculine, and in the church, and what the Catholic Church has allowed to be perpetrated. But you're bringing it back to the reconciliation, which again is feminine. You're bringing it back to the feminine rising up within the masculine, because the Godhead is off. It's off kilter when we're not acknowledging the divine feminine as well. And so with these empathic women, with your vision, if you can just walk us through the moment where you sat to your computer and just allow this wisdom to come through you. What was that moment like?
Well, the moment really started in a boardroom where I grew up at a temple in, it's called the Birmingham Temple, but it's in Farmington Hills. It's the beginning of saying, huh? Because it was also an atheist temple where the founding rabbi started this movement in 1963 in Detroit, where he said, we love being Jewish, but we don't believe in God. And after the Holocaust, kind of the nicest thing you could say about God is God doesn't exist. But we love being Jewish. And my parents joined this place when I was 7 years old. And it was my Eden. And he, Rabbi Wine, who's died, was my father of choice in so many ways. He was also a gay man, which made him very safe. And I was the first rabbi ordained in this movement. And then when he retired, which is a big deal when the founder of this, it's a little movement, but for the people that followed him, it was a big deal. I was his successor. So I got the keys to the Garden of Eden. I loved it, but there was so much fighting from people that didn't think I should have been the rabbi, or maybe I was too sensitive and I didn't handle it right, which I think has truth to it,
Mm-hmm.
which I have still. You can feel it, some shame around. But there was this showdown board meeting, and you can read about it in chapter 1. But after
Mm-hmm.
chapter 1, we move on because there's so much more to the story, right?
That's right.
I walked out of my temple, this board meeting, and I resigned. But when I left, they literally changed the locks. And it was, how did I get to be actually dangerous enough? But it was a little group of people. I mean, over the last 7 years, I have served so many members that are still members of that temple, and that are beloved people that I've stayed connected with. It was like an eruption. And I think it had to happen or I never would have left because I loved it so much. And I felt like in that meeting, it was 10:30 at night, everyone's screaming. It follows this really intense series of events that is in chapter 1. And I'm I don't know if I've never since had an experience where all these people in the room are talking about you, some screaming at you, and you're supposed to be the one who's the spiritual leader. And in some way, they still hold you like that. But in some way, they're stripping you of everything.
That's right.
And I just walked out with my office shared a door with this boardroom where I had grown up. And I wrote a resignation and I left. Now you're going to hear my little dog bark. All that.
It's okay.
That's also part of feminine, is many things at once.
That's right. Learning to be fluid. We have to be very fluid. And it's funny that you mentioned, it almost felt like a scene where there were these townspeople with you with pitchforks and torches who were, really out to get you. And similarly, so for my Christian tradition, I was speaking at a church, and I think I was called everything but a raven-haired she-demon because
Really?
Oh yeah. Theologically, there were some, I guess, some difference. I was a guest speaker, at a church, and it was really kind of cut down the middle. Either people really loved what I had to say, or they hated it, and they went to the senior pastor, like this faction of people, and thought I was just like the worst. Yeah.
And shame has been used as a weapon through patriarchy to silence women. And we've used it against each other, our beloved sisters.
That's right.
But what happened with Eve, what happened to you, what happened to me, what wasn't necessary was the shaming. Yeah. And I just got that right now. And I never got that before.
This was so divine.
See, I co-created some of the drama, and I have to I'm no victim, but I did not deserve to be shamed. Yeah. And neither did Eve, and neither did any woman or any human. And we finally have to. That's why it's so emotional, because shame is our rawest, scariest emotion. Because if you shame someone, they die. That's right. They may physically die in a village where they're shunned and banished. We psychologically start to die, and spiritually, we disconnect with our own divinity. So when you say, I feel ashamed, but I will not be shamed, you step back into your connection as a divine being.
Rabbi, that's so rich. Oh my gosh. So I think what I'm hearing you say is that we get excommunicated when we become shamed, when we own the shame. We can be ashamed, but when we're shamed,
That's right.
it takes us out of
That's right.
connection with others. It takes us out of connection with self, and it takes us out of connection with God because we feel like something has separated us.
We lose our right to exist. And if you can steal that from someone, now you have power. It's
Mm-hmm.
not divine power, it's external power, it's force. But you think about how we silence people in our society,
That's right.
racism.
Yeah.
If you take I grew up, catch my breath here.
Yeah.
One of the joys of this work is the interfaith journey, and the journey to meet and I you refer to yourself as African American woman, a Black woman. I'm so honored to meet sisters that take me into a whole conversation about humanity. And I grew up, I'm obviously Jewish, but I grew up when Roots was on TV,
Mm-hmm.
and my parents were watching it in their bedroom. They wouldn't let me watch it. I was too little, and I went into their bedroom with the scene where they're trying to get, and I don't know his name because I didn't know I was going to talk about this today with you, where they're telling him he has to give up his African name.
Yeah, Kunta Kinte becomes Toby, and they literally beat him into submission.
I walked in, I'm in this like large new build modern house in the suburbs of Detroit. It's like maybe 1976, I might have 8 years old. And I saw it, and then they told me to leave. Tammy, this isn't for you. It was just being aired because it
Yeah,
had broken through the silence in this way through visual imagery
that's
to
right.
allow people to empathically understand the brutality
Mm-hmm.
in a way that had not been possible without film. And that scene never left me as an empath. It's like it attached itself.
Yeah,
Because he said basically, you will not, you may shame me, but I will not be it. I will not live in shame. And what is my dignity is my name. And we are reclaiming, it's that moment in Roots that is like this energy field that we have all stepped into. And that's the power.
that's right. Yeah, yeah. That's and I love that you use that image because as an empath, I think we feel so
Yeah,
much that we feel first and then we can speak. And so
yeah.
you said it lodged itself in your being. What was happening to this other person then lodged itself into your being. That experience became your
And as
experience.
an empath, if nobody, see, your work is so important because nobody explains that to us. Now there's more talking around it, more explanations. People like you, now children will be parented differently. My mom says that. She said, like, I didn't understand that. I wouldn't say to you, how do you feel? I'd say, what do you think? Because
Mm-hmm.
you felt so much.
That's right. That's right. And yeah, and our brains are just wired just a little differently. And the world really is not, set up for us. The
Mm-mm.
world is set up to be sort of heady and cerebral and thinking, whereas we use the heart faculty and the chakra, the solar plexus to feel. I mean, that's just how we move through the world. And there was just so much, I wish I had known, growing up. And of course, when you are a little different, you have to go on this quest to research for identity and reclaim. But your work is so important, helping women to reclaim this narrative of identity.
Yeah,
And, when we hear
that's
just
right.
even the name,
That's
when we hear the name Eve, it's
that's
shrouded with
yeah.
so many just
Yeah.
even saying the name. So if you could just even speak to that.
So I'm going to show you this very short video. And the people that are going to, the beautiful people that are going to watch this, you can become aware of what your feelings are about the person you're seeing. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
And that's it. And that's all that ever happened. And we are here today with that poisonous mythology.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes in our adversity or our seemingly fall from grace, what seems to be a fall was an opportunity for us to have some contrast to move through, or else you and I wouldn't be having this conversation.
That's right. Tell me more about that.
Yeah. So we look at this tragic scenario of our ancestor, our mother,
Her mother.
our mother, for
Yeah,
humanity, our mother,
her mother.
and the shame and ridicule that she had to go through under the auspice of patriarchy. But now, several centuries later, we are reclaiming
Mm-hmm.
the proper placement. And it really does have to start from the top up, from the divine, all the way down to legislatures, those people who the governing bodies of this world.
Yeah.
And then finally down to people. But sometimes a special set of circumstances. I mean, we look at the narrative of Jesus and Judas, if he did not have that opposition.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm calling into the universe is that we've suffered enough.
We've suffered enough. That's right.
And it is time to live in joy.
Mm-hmm.
We've all suffered enough. This myth, this story, we know that it's about 2,500 years old, because we know that the Bible, the Hebrew Bible, which Christians refer to as the Old Testament, but the more dignified way is the Hebrew Bible. We know that that was canonized, so the stories were knitted together. So we
Mm-hmm.
know that it was included in Genesis in a certain time, so we can start to date this. It must be much, much older. But at least for 2,500 years, this myth has been carried as a platform to silence women.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody, men too, who oppose the patriarchy. Men have suffered too. Men have died in all those wars, the Civil War. I wasn't there.
Yeah.
It's enough.
And they suffer too when they can't express. They suffer too when they cannot tap into their feminine. They suffer too.
And that's something that we haven't really explored enough, is that this narrative that it's somehow good for the men in power who have the power because it's fun for them and they need to, can protect their fun and it's not good for them either.
No, it's not. No. So the work that you're doing, providing oranges for
Yeah.
Eve in place of the apple.
That's
And
what I
so
have around me.
yeah, your oranges. So if you could speak more about the orange. So why oranges for Eve?
All right. So we are done eating poisonous apples. So it was referred to as a forbidden fruit, but it's come to be understood as an apple. And some of that is the Renaissance period, the rich imagination of what the fruit was has become this apple with one bite out of it. I want to show you something that's gonna, my daughter's in middle school. She's like, this is her like blow your mind. I can't do it because I'm on the computer. Oh, I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
What's the number one logo in the world today? Recognizable if you went anywhere in the world?
Yeah,
Now,
that right there, that apple.
what is it?
That Macintosh apple.
And what do you notice? Is it a whole apple? Is there something missing from it?
That bite.
If
Mm-hmm.
you don't, so I watched a video about how this iconic logo was found, and the guys said, oh, it just wasn't a big deal. We sort of just discovered it. We didn't really spend even a lot of time on it. That found them, because it is carried, as Jung says, in the collective unconscious.
That's right. Come on, Carl. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's he's one of my
Okay.
favorite. Yeah.
If
Mm-hmm.
you think that the mythology of Eve is not alive, look at what we look at every day, all day. Not an apple. If it was just an apple, like Apple computer, why does it have a bite out of it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is
Mm.
an apple.
That's right.
This is an apple with a bite out of it. And who bit the apple?
Yeah, that's right.
So the idea of what would be the opposite is an orange. There's another thing that's really cool about the orange. Again, it's a legend. It's become part of urban legend that a rabbi was asked, an Orthodox rabbi, if a woman should be on the bima, which is the Hebrew for altar or stage. And the answer was, a woman belongs on a bima like an orange on a Seder plate. Meaning she doesn't. The orange is a tropical fruit. If you think of the Seder story in the Exodus, there's matzah, the dryness of the desert. They weren't picking oranges. They were thirsty and what is the word?
Parched.
Parched. There was no orange juice. At least me, when I was pregnant, all I wanted to drink was orange juice. I'm not a big orange juice drinker now because it's so sweet on the sugar, and I'd rather have my calories somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're so parched, it's so amazing. When I was in Israel about a year ago, I was so thirsty. All I wanted was orange juice. So back to that legend, the Jews couldn't quench their thirst with oranges. So that rabbi was saying, a woman in a place of religious authority and power is absurd. So Jewish households all over the world, and especially in North America, thousands and thousands and thousands, it's a known thing in the Jewish liberal community, put an orange on their Seder plate.
Nice.
To stick it to that
That's
message.
Right. To that message, yeah.
And so now Seders have become the story of many narratives of coming out of bondage. And there's all kinds of additions to Seder plates now. But the orange really started it, where you could add something to a Seder, which has been in existence for hundreds and hundreds of years, that was a modern message. And women's Seders have become a way of reclaiming our divinity. So the orange has double meaning. And so just as I was searching and searching and searching, thinking, what would I call this? And okay, you have this feeling, but what's the story and why does it matter? And what's this Eve thing you can't stop thinking about? It was like oranges.
That is, oh my goodness. Yeah. And what's so rich about this conversation, because honestly, I could talk to you all night. I would love for you to, one, tell us where we can get a copy of your book.
Okay.
And then two, some practical tips for empathic women to reclaim.
Perfect.
Their identity.
I would love to give you a few worksheets that I've made recently as companions to my book. The book comes out on December 1st on Amazon. The Kindle will be free. So anybody that wants it, there'll be an audio And the book, you'll be able to buy it on Amazon.
Amazing.
And then I'll be here. I mean, if you want to talk to me, or I'm here. But I'd love to give you like a preview with some of the worksheets, maybe a little audio you can give to anybody who wants it. The book itself has all these spiritual exercises and worksheets that are at the end of each chapter. So it becomes like a working journal.
Yes. Oh, that's
So
rich.
that itself will be really, I love that. I like writing in my books. There's even a book all about body image, which we didn't even begin, Ber-Henda, to touch the F in
Oh,
fig leaf,
that's
which
right.
is chapter 3, is the F in
Yeah.
fig leaf. I mean, the fig leaf, like Eve has just lost everything and her primary preoccupation is to cover up her vagina. I mean, this is like madness, what we have done to our bodies.
Yeah.
And so the fig leaf exercise in the book, you're instructed to write how you wear your fig leaf, rip it out of the book, and burn it.
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
But the practical tips, I'll just share the screen for a second. And then I can give you, anybody that wants this, it's my privilege. Can you all see this?
Yeah, this looks great.
So this is a great exercise to look at. When did you just know? Mary Oliver writes a poem. That's how I would start this exercise, called The Journey.
Mm-hmm.
And the words, just the beginning, are, one day you finally knew what you had to do and began. Though the voices around you kept shouting their bad advice, though the whole house began to tremble. And the moment in your life when you knew what you had to do, every person's had moments where they knew. And to review that, that's the call of the feminine divine. That's Eve saying, pick the apple. So I'm going to send you this prayer. This is Mary Oliver. Anybody that wants to honor their intuition to read this. Ask yourself, when did you just know? And this exercise takes you into connecting with your gut.
That's
Because
right.
we believe, so the practical tip is connect with your gut and honor your gut. Our mind, we think all our decisions have to come through the mind. But the mind isn't always very helpful, if ever. So I think to honor what you know already and what you already have done in your life, like to pick the apple. We talked about how you've divorced perfectionism, and I said to you, I'm filing today because I'm still in that mode. We always think, oh, I have to do this, I have to do this, like I have to do this. If I follow my truth, I have. But think about what you've already done.
Which is so much. We have done so much. And I don't think as women we give ourselves full credit
No,
for the things that we've done, because our barometer or measures of success are still based and laden in patriarchy. So you can't even see what you've accomplished because
right.
it's like your
Never
appetite is
enough.
insatiable. You're never enough, never
And as
enough.
an empath, I think the number one thing that I struggle with is feeling overwhelmed and
Yep,
exhausted.
that's right.
So my tool would be honor your gut and celebrate, relax in what you've already done and how you've already lived this way. And you know it, and trust yourself and lay down and turn the lights off, snuggle with your dog, rescue a cat if your husband will let you. do do what your body wants to do to feel
Do what your
better.
body wants to do. I love that. That is
You
so
know the
rich. Do what your
cushion we
body
talked
wants to
about?
do.
Oh, this takes us right back to that. I was like, I love her. When you posted that cushion, which isn't a cushion, it's like this gigantic human dog bed.
Yeah.
This was you knowing that you have full permission to make yourself comfortable in your life.
It's the womb. I mean, we all want to go back to the womb. I mean, when we want to find comfort, do we not get back into the fetal position? And so
Yes.
that feminine power that we don't always fully acknowledge or sometimes dismiss, when you are in desperation, what do? You coil back into an unborn child, symbolic of being in the womb, because you know that's the safest place in the world.
So what if we could comfort ourselves before, during, and after the desperation? I mean, it would be great if we could comfort ourselves before we get there.
That's right.
Instead of like jamming ourselves. Like I do that to myself. I jam myself all the time with, yeah, I know you have a headache, but you know, you got to do this, or you don't, you know, you can't, whatever it is. So
Whatever it is.
my tool that I would hope to give to anybody watching this is honor yourself. You already know, and you've already done it. Nothing more is needed.
Woo, that's a surrender piece right there. I'm sure that's going to liberate. Just listen to that. Nothing more is required. No further action. Like, what does it say? Take no further action.
More.
No.
And honey, I'm going to watch the video and do my own homework.
Me too.
Because this is the pressure. Nothing more. Show up if you can. Be gentle. Speak your truth. Love yourself. Love each other. Let it go. All of this. Cuddle up.
That's right.
Soothe each other.
Yes. Whew. Breathe that in. Ladies and gentlemen, the brave gentlemen who tune into our series every week, thank you. My empathic sisterhood, this has been so rich this evening. I hope that you've enjoyed it as much as I have. I hope that you purchase Rabbi Tamara Kolton's book. It's available on Amazon. She'll be releasing her baby on December the 1st. I hope this is not the last time that you'll be a guest on our show.
Oh my God, you've changed my life.
You've changed mine.
For the better. And thank you, Ann Doyle.
Yes, that connected
us. Who also has an amazing book, Powering Up.
Yeah.
And thank you, Ann Doyle.
That's right. For bringing an amazing collective of women together, because she honored her gut. She honored her
She
calling.
said, hey, you need to meet each other. And I was like, if Ann says I need to do it, I will.
And it was the same way with me. I was like, well, if Ann says it, then it's right. And so it is. And it has been such an enriching experience after that convening of women. But I am so blessed and honored to know you. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Big love to you. And to all of our empathic sisters out there, no matter where you are in the journey, know that you're in the right place. No mistakes have been made. Honor your intuition, your gut, listen to it, don't dismiss it. You know, you are not crazy. If they call you crazy, then that means you're
on track.
You're on track. If they call you crazy,
track.
And you feel you are on the right track. Sister, thank you. That's all I can say. Thank you for this evening. And we'll be sending out more details as you get them available to us. So please join us on Visionary Empaths Unite on Facebook. We have a secret group because we just want to make sure that it's a safe space, but anyone is welcome to join. We have men and women, people from all over the globe that are there. So please look us up there. Check me out at Ber-Henda Take your free Visionary Empath quiz to see if you resonated with anything we said. More than likely you are an empath, but just to be definitive about it, you can sign up for my newsletter and also get a free gift. But like I said, each and every week we are here on Visionary Empaths Unite with a different visionary empath coming from a different perspective, a different school of thought, because there's no wrong way to do this. You are absolutely on track and you're right. And so thank you all for tuning in. Oh, Rabbi, I don't even want to say goodbye, but I would just say good night, because this is not the last time.
Shalom means hello, goodbye, and peace.
Oh, well, shalom, my good sister. Big love to you. Thank you for joining us.